Today we're going to be talking about Yelp Help. My talk is called Yelp Help, and it's not just about Yelp, it's about social review um, and online social review and how to handle it. I like to call it turning lemons into lemonade. If somebody can please chime in and let me know if they can hear me. Oh, good. It says the broadcaster chooses to apply this setting. Comments for the stream. Okay, I'll change that setting. Thank you, Diane. Let's see here. Only your followers will be able to know. Protected. Let me take that off. Okay, so see if that's better, Diane. I'm glad you guys can hear me. I hope the audio is okay too. This is one of my favorite talks. It's Facebook Live, so I can't show the slides, but the slides really aren't that important for this talk as well. I'm going to give people another minute to roll in. And I hope everyone's having a good night. We just had a huge thunderstorm here, and thank God it passed before this because I was getting a lot of loud thunder. Dave Clark with the thumbs up. Hey, Dave, great. That's awesome. I'm just going to spend a minute or two introing the talk while people roll in. Social review is such an important topic, and from I see over the years in the threads online, it's so misunderstood, and the way that people handle the reviews and what they think about some of the review feeds and how they operate is incorrect as well. It's really important to remember that a bad review you can actually turn those lemons into lemonade. It can actually act as a 5-star review, and that's part of what we're going to talk about today. Talk a little bit about the history of online review. We're going to touch on Yelp and Google. Those are the two biggest review platforms, and hopefully you'll leave here with a lot of great information. So with no further ado, I like to start by saying and I'll be going through the questions and the comments in the moderation section after I finish talking and answering some of them. In the old days, dissatisfied customers would either express their dissatisfaction with the handful of people that were immediate in front of them, the people at the table, the people sitting next to them perhaps would hear them complaining, and probably to the waiter or waitress if it was a restaurant-like place. But nowadays, you would tell, maybe a bunch of your friends would tell each other at the card table about a bad experience. But nowadays, the bad experience through social review are broadcasted to hundreds, maybe thousands of people. So the power has been put in the consumer's hand to say whatever they want about anyone, and that's why it's scary, and it's a scary place to engage and interact. Anybody can any gripe about you can put it online. You just have to know that it's not the end of the world if that happens, and how to handle it. And we're going to do that today, of course. So positive reviews are crucial for the obvious reason that they tell people verbally about what your business is like. And if you're getting positive reviews, then people are more likely to come in. Positive reviews are better received when they come from someone that the reader knows, as opposed to a stranger. And this is where Yelp is very weak. They don't, you're taking the advice of people you've never met or you don't know. And that's why Yelp have gamified it with Yelp elites and Yelp experts, the people that you kind of trust more because they do a lot of Yelping and Yelp likes them, so they've got to have some kind of credibility. But the other important thing about Yelp is for your search engine optimization, not just Yelp but Google reviews also, is that the more they take graphs about you when they decide if they're going to elevate you when somebody searches or queries the products or services you want to be found for when they go to Google, like my child's changing vision, things like that. There's a bunch of things Google uses to rank people and pull them up. And if you cover more of those bases, then you get pulled up higher. And that's called optimizing your position in search, or search engine optimization. And one of the graphs that they layer if your location, if you're in the area that the person searches, that's good. If you have a blog that has the exact same sentence that they searched, that's good. And there's a bunch of other things in SEO. This isn't an SEO talk, but one of those things is what they call your reputation graph, because Google only wants to pull up a high quality business for that person as well. So if you're online with a lot of great stars, a lot of great pretty yellow stars, then Google assumes that you're somewhat of a good business and they elevate you. So the two things that are important of social review are people, what people see about you, and then what Google sees about you, so that they can elevate you in search for the products and services you want to be found for. And that makes it crucial, because way more people are going to come in by finding you in search than they're going to come in by finding you through social review. So it's also really critical to engage all your reviewers. I see time and time again people going to their reviews and only commenting on the people who made 1, 2, or 3 star comments. And how does that look to the other people reading the feed? Well, it looks like you're being defensive. It looks like you might have something to hide. The people who leave you 5-star and 4-star reviews are taking time out of their busy day to help you and to help your business. And they deserve to be thanked for that. I think it's a really great thing. And it also makes you look less defensive. If you go through a review feed and you see somebody who responds to every review, not just the poor reviews, it looks more legit. It's a better thing, and that's crucial, to thank the people who took the time to do it for you, and to defend yourself, or if you want to put it that way, against bad reviews and point out how they're wrong. We have a really great part of the talk towards the end. It's my strategy I invented called CASPECO. It's the CAPSECO, or each steps you take in the process of working through responding to a bad review, and we'll go in through that. I hope everybody stays for that. That's really the best part of the talk. So you want to be found with a lot of 5 stars, a lot of pretty stars, but remember, nothing matters in this if your business sucks, and if your customer service isn't perfect, and if you're not exceeding their expectations, because you're not going to get those 5 stars. Patients, they don't know your degree. They don't sometimes even know if you're an optometrist. How many times have you walked into the room to see a new patient and you say, "What brought you in today?" They're like, "Well, I went to that optometrist down the street and now I want to see a real doctor." And I'll just look at them and I'll nod, and I never talk bad about any of my colleagues, but I also don't feel like getting into the conversation that I'm not an ophthalmologist unless they ask me right out, because you're busy, right? But anyhow, you know what I'm talking about. That happens. They don't know your degree. All they know when they leave your office is if you met their expectations, and if you've exceeded their expectations, you're going to get those 5-star reviews. If you met them, they'll be happy and come back and refer you. So the whole process of getting a good review starts with your website, and because when generally the trajectory people who look at a review take is they go check out your other online properties. So if you have a good modern website with a lot of social cues on there, and it's a positive experience, easy to navigate and things like that, that's going to be another step you take towards having that patient choose you. Your website should mirror the physical presence of your office, because that is where the trust factor comes in. People are going to purchase from you if they trust you. Now, if your website is really modern and super cool and everything, but your practice is decorated like it's 1980 with shag carpet and paneled walls, there's a disconnect. There's a trust loss when that patient chooses you because they like what they see and what they think, what you're presenting yourself as on the website, and they come in and your practice is run down, and maybe you have some scuffed chairs and scuffing on the walls and things like that. You really have to set their expectation before they ever get in your office, and that's done with your website. And then it ends in your optical, because when I don't know if it's happened to you, like I've gotten 1-star and 2-star reviews in the past where people say the doctors were excellent, we could really thorough examine everything, but this happened in optical, and then that just kills the whole thing. So from the experience from what they see on your website until when they check out at your front desk, even when they get the product, maybe the different people will review you at different times. That's what it depends on. So it has to be spotless all the way through, or nothing I'm telling you about getting good social reviews is worth anything if your customer service sucks. This is also critical, for high SEO. And what happens if you're able to pull this all together and exceed customer expectations and have a great presentation and everything, then you get this social media bullhorn effect where people go online and leave great reviews and maybe share things about your practice with their friends. And again, The level of trust is much higher when you see something a friend has shared than a stranger shares, and that's called the social review bullhorn effect. And that's the natural bullhorn effect, the one that just happens. But you can also go after your own bullhorn effect by identifying patients who have large social media followings and catering to them and asking them if they will share online. And we call those, there's two kinds. There's influencers, people who have big general social media stuff, and then there's the kind I call customer opinion leaders. These are people who you've seen for a long time, and maybe they absolutely love you, and you know that they engage on social media a lot. It's not too big a jump to get them to say something about you online. You want to market to them, you want to offer them things, and you want to take the good reviews you get and impress your readers by cutting and pasting images of those reviews onto your website. Those reviews may not be there forever. People take down reviews sometimes. And if they do, you lost that forever. So make sure you have a screenshot of those. Make sure when you develop your website that you give some of those to your website developer and have them put them up on your website, because that might be enough to keep them to go from looking at your actual reviews feed where you may or may not want them to look at stuff. You can also throw promotions and parties for these influencers as well. Yelp did that. I don't know if they still do that, but I went to a couple of those things. I think I even went to one with Justin Bazan at some point, where they took the people who Yelped a lot and they did stuff for them, and you can do that too. Now, steering patients to post a review for you. What's the right way and what's the wrong way? Well, you can't. What you can do, and what I do, is I'll say to them, at the end of an exam where I'm pretty certain that they were impressed, or the end of an experience where I know they had a good impression of me and my practice, or for someone who's seen me for a long time and I trust that they're coming back because they like us, I'll have a conversation with them and thank them for all the kind things they say. And I'll say, if you feel that way and if you're inclined, would you review us online? It's that simple. It's not overbearing. You're not offering them anything, but I'm letting them know that it's really important to us to get that feedback online. But I don't want to be pushy or push them. If inclined, please review us online. I guide them gently, and I have written instructions for them, because if your patients, you all know what the Yelp filter is. That's when we're going to talk about the filter, by the way. That's when somebody puts a 5-star review up for you and it doesn't show up on Yelp, and you're all mad because you think Yelp is hiding it because you didn't pay them, and that's not true. Or somebody who is really angry with you and puts a 1-star review up, and that goes into this filter and doesn't show up either, because this person maybe have never reviewed a business before, and if they had, they may only go on to Yelp to bash businesses. Or they may only go on to review their friends or relatives' businesses. And that's what the Yelp filter is about. So if somebody doesn't use Yelp regularly or really at all, you don't want them reviewing you on Yelp, because their review will go right into the filter. You want them reviewing you on Google or somewhere else, perhaps. There's a couple other things we'll talk about. What was I going to say? So yeah, so if they have it, find out if they have a Gmail. Because if they have a Gmail, they can review you on Google, and that's really, there's no filter in Gmail. Anybody can review anything they want on there. So we have little business cards that for Yelp and Google, and then when I ask them if you're inclined to review us online, they'll say sure. I'll say, do you use Yelp? And they'll be like, well, not really. And they'll say, well, you have a Gmail. Most people do. Here, can you do this? Or I have another card for Angie's List and something else. And you just hand them to them, so they know exactly what to do, and it's really easy, and there's no kind of question that they're going to get that up there. What not to do? You don't want to incentivize them with money or anything, or gifts or discounts or anything like that. Don't, like I said before in the other part, don't ask them to review somewhere where they don't already review things. And then don't ask everyone to leave a review. Now, this is really important. Some of the customer communication softwares have this disadvantage. I wrote a book in 2013 called on customer communication software, and really what it boiled down to is, how do you choose, what features do you want to make sure are in your customer communication software? And there were incremental differences back then between all of those, and I think most of them have most of the same things they all have. But one thing that I really liked were the softwares that before they asked a patient, before they sent out an email or a text to review the practice, they sent a survey, a 3 or 5 question survey to the patient, and the patients would answer that, and then the software will automatically send an email asking for a review to only the 5-star responses on the survey. Because if you just send out a request for a review to every patient that comes in your practice, you're going to get 10 or 20% 1 and 2 star reviews. You may not think you're going to get that, but people aren't going to tell you in the office that they didn't have a good experience. They're going to nod and want to get the F out of there. They're not going to sit around, and you're not going to know. Even the nicest people who you thought you did a great job with may have had a really negative experience at some point in your office, and they want to slam you. So you don't want to invite them to review. If they do it, like, that's their call, right? You'll handle that with my CASPECO information I'm going to give you later. But if you ask somebody, you're going to get what you asked for. So by those softwares, the ones that filter out the people that answer the survey questions on the quality of their experience with 1, 2, or 3 stars, they're not going to even get asked to put a review. They're only going to ask the people that are 4 or above. And that's a really great feature of some of those customer communication software. So check with your customer communication software vendor and see how they ask for social reviews, if they have that filter in there, and if not, consider switching. So there's characteristics of reviewers that I kind of boiled down. There are people who are just gushing with love for businesses. I call those the lovers. Then there's the haters, the people that find every excuse to slam you on something. Even if they give you a good review, they find something in there to breathe negativity into the experience. There's the journalists who really shouldn't be putting up a social review. They should have a blog. I mean, they break like tons and tons and tons of stuff that you don't even really want to read. And then there's the gamers. These are people who are doing Yelp and things like that for the gamification aspects that they offer. And then there's nitpickers, people who just find every little, they sit there and they talk about every little thing about your practice that really isn't even important to talk about, because really what people want to be reviewing is the doctor experience and their optical experience and their contact lens experience. So you handle each of those people in a different way, but this CASPECO strategy tells you how to handle all of those. Now, the popular review channels out there include Yelp and Google and Angie's List and Health Grades and Yahoo and Trustpilot. We talked a lot about Yelp, and we're going to talk more about Yelp and Google. I'm going to blow by those. Angie's List, it depends on the area you're in. I know that it's very expensive. Apparently, it costs like a couple $100 a month to join there, and we have some people that use it, but I just found that it wasn't worth the cost. We had a few good reviews go up on there, and people who use Angie's List can access those, and that's good enough for me. So I don't want to spend the money when I can get tons of Google reviews for free. And then Health Grades, it's a good idea on Health Grades for Google does use your rating on Health Grades for your search engine optimization rating. So if you can get 10 to 20 people to rate you on Health Grades, just get a good rating on there and keep it there, and then don't necessarily continue to send people over there to review you. Don't stack it with reviews from your friends and family. Get it done organically by asking people. But getting a presence on healthgrades.com, I think it is important at a low level, just so that Google knows that you're a high-level healthcare provider. They do use digital cues from that to rank you for search engine optimization. And then Yahoo, again, I wouldn't go after reviews on there, because Yahoo is really Google. They really are powered. Their search engine and their Ymail is powered by Google. So I think you're covering your bases pretty well if you do everything on Google and don't worry about having people review you on Yahoo. And there's a newer one out there called Trustpilot. Trustpilot is one that allows the business to leave up or take down reviews, or to question, actually not to do that, but you're allowed to question reviews, and they're effective at reviewing it and taking it down if it's not a legitimate review. And it's a new concept out there. I don't know much about it, but you can look into that. It's called Trustpilot.com, I think. Now, remember that whether you want to be on those sites, your business to be on those sites or not, most of them set up a profile for you automatically. So your business is already represented on there, and you might have reviews on there that people are reading that you don't even know about, and they could be crappy. So you're going to need, after you learn the strategies I teach you for responding to reviews, you're going to need to go over there to all those sites and see what is being said about you and respond. So the skinny with Yelp, I'm not going to get too much into this. Yelp, they've had problems over the years. But one of the problems I don't think is their filter. They ideally they want to have a really good site that gives really good information for people. And the fact that they figured out that to take people who do only one type of review and not present it on the review feed is probably a smart thing to do. Most of those people probably are just stuffing reviews with 5 stars for their friends and family. And then to take out all the Debbie Downers who are just going to businesses and using it as an opportunity to shoot down those businesses, that's good too. So are they playing pay to play? Maybe to a degree they are, but that is not why reviews that are good about you are going into Yelp's filter and not showing up on your feed. And that's just the way it is. All right, let me fast forward here. We talked about Google reviews and health grades. We talked about Trustpilot, this freemium model. It's a little more policed in favor of the reviewees. So you and me have a little bit of a benefit on there in terms of defending ourselves. We talked about that. A company on Trustpilot is allowed to report a review if they believe it violates the Trustpilot's user guidelines, or you have no record of the reviewer as a customer, which it's helpful. Sometimes I know stories of people who have had employees, ex-employees, slam them. That's kind of a good thing for Trustpilot. And then once you report a review on Trustpilot, that review gets replaced with a message that this review is being evaluated and assessed by us. So a bad review won't stay up while it's in the assessment process. Now, while we know and we establish that it's imperative to be found with a majority of great reviews, an average or poor review is okay. It lends credence to your whole review feed. If you go onto somebody's feed and you just see 5-star review after 5-star review, you are probably concerned that that business might be stuffing their reviews and having friends and family or maybe incentivizing people to post good reviews for them. When you see one review that's less, or a handful of reviews that are less than that, you know it's a more reliable review feed. And then I'm going to make the argument that having a 1 or 2-star review can actually be better than a 5-star review, because you're going to turn those lemons into lemonade in your response. I want you to, while I get into this part of the talk where we start to talk about CASPECO, I want you to think about what you do when you go look at a social review. We all have this little thing inside of us that likes gossipy stuff, or things that are a little bit that aren't really like fluffy or nice, but you want to hear the gossip, the bad things as well. So a lot of us subconsciously will go look at a review and see 5, 5, 4, 5, 5, 4, 1. And then what do? We veer over and we read the 1-star review. We assume we know what's in those 5-star reviews. They're all happy. They're all bubbly. It's all good. We don't really get a ton of information about that business from it, but we sure as hell get a lot of information when we go and we look at the 1-star and 2-star reviews. And that's because of that. The people will read that, but if you respond to that, they will read your response. And it's in that response that you're going to make them see that the reviewer was perhaps a little crazy or off base or off kilter or didn't understand the situation. And CASPECO is the strategy for doing that. So like I said before, attend to all your reviewers, bad and good. But in the bad ones, there's a specific way you attend to them so that you could turn that 1-star view into a 5-star view in the eyes of the people reading it, because that's all you care about. You don't care about that person anymore. They're probably not going to come back to your practice. And if they do, you may not even want them to come back. They actually are doing you a favor, and I'm going to make that argument. Remember, none of this matters if your customer service sucks. So make sure, aside from all this, your staff has a smile in the voice, the environment in the office is nice, you have the little extras, and you meet and exceed their expectations. My first 1-star review read like this. And, when we get a 1-star review, this is our business, and really to some extent our business defines us. The success of our business, people's perceptions of our business, makes us feel good about ourselves if they're happy, and if they're not, it makes us feel bad. And there's a visceral reaction when you see somebody say something bad about your business in person, and even more of a reaction when somebody says something bad about it online where thousands of people can see it. So you really want to, when you see something, you don't want to react right away. You want to step away from it for a day or two and think about it for several reasons. But I'm going to read you this review I like to use to go through my CASPECO strategy. This Google user, BM was their initials. I like to call them bowel movement. Um, Gave me 1 star and said they were not willing to work with my insurance, which is held by a major insurance provider and is not a cut rate plan. They didn't even try to give me self pay options. They just told me no. Very disappointed. So I looked at that and I felt what we all feel when we see a bad review. And I stepped back from it, and after some time went by, I reread it, and it occurred to me that this person was never even in my office. They never stepped foot in my office. They were giving me a 1 star review, not on my service, not on my products, not on my staff. They were giving it because, they couldn't get in. I guess maybe the only thing that went wrong there is maybe my staff told them we don't accept cash, which I sincerely doubt. But then I'm like, gosh, I know how to respond to this. And that's when I developed the strategy. And the initials for it are not the analogy, what's the word? The anachronism or whatever. CASPECO, CASPECO. CASPECO. The C is to make them look crazy. So in your response, you want to make them look crazy to the reader. Now, I'm not talking about insulting them or calling them crazy, but there's ways that you can point things out about what they wrote to make the reader think, oh, to discount. So the reader discounts what they read. That was the C, the crazy. The A, apologize. Now, a lot of people have trouble taking accountability or apologizing, and that's very immature. It doesn't take much to apologize. And you're not apologizing to that person, even though it appears that way. You're apologizing so the people who read it see that you're someone who cares and takes accountability, has empathy for the situation. And that is something that's responded well to by people. So we're going to make them look crazy, and I'll tell you how to do that. We're going to apologize, not for the benefit of the person who put the post up, because that person is not coming back and you may not want them back, but for the benefit of the reader. All of this is for the benefit of the reader. The SP is for using social proof. Sorry, somebody keeps PMing me. Use social proof in there, and that means that you're going to point out that other people, you can see from the multiple 5-star reviews, that other people who came here had a 5-star experience. Had you actually come into my office, yada yada. You see how you do that? So, because people use social proof all the time. In your optical, if somebody says, oh, I'm not going to buy optical here, it's too expensive here, I think you could say to them, well, we have the same things that wherever you want to go have. We have the same thing at the same price that the big box stores, the online opticals have. We just don't have them on the shelf. What we have on the shelf is what most people want. And when you put that little seed into people's head, they're thinking subconsciously, I want what most people want. Well, the same thing here. If you say that most people had a good experience, then the people reading that review will say, oh yeah, there were a lot of good 5-star reviews. Why am I bothering with this crazy person that they apologized to? And the majority of people have 5-star reviews. So that's the SP. So we have the C in CASPECO, crazy. The A, apologize. The SP, social proof. And then the EC, show an effort to change. Talk about how their experience influenced you to make things better in your office in that. Again, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But you're writing this for the other readers so that they can see that you listen to customer feedback and act on it. And that's accountability, and that's really big. Subconsciously, people like people who are accountable. And then the O, so we have crazy for the C, apologize for the A, SP for the social proof, EC, the effort to change, and the O is offer to make it right. And this is a hard part for a lot of people because, you really may not even like that person at this point because they slammed your business and they may have been a nightmare in your office. And your offer to make it right isn't because you really, for that person, or that you're going to do anything. The odds they're going to take advantage of your offer are close to zero, and the odds you're going to want them coming back in are close to zero. You're making that offer for the benefit of the people reading the review, so they know you stand behind your words. And that's the CASPECO strategy. And I'll give you an example of how I used that on that 1-star review before. I'm going to start with the A, the apology. So I responded to that review like this. Dear BM, dear bowel movement, We apologize you were given the wrong information on the phone. So it only took accountability for what happened on the phone because, of course, they were never in our office. We accept most insurances, and of course we accept self-pay patients. We agree we deserve 1 star for our phone service. All right? Right there and then, you killed a big part of their argument because all they really argued about was that you didn't give them an option to come in and pay cash. What else did they complain about? Not much else. So that was the A. Now, the EC, the effort to change. The next thing I wrote in there is, we're instituting changes in education of our customer care representatives so this does not happen to someone else. Boom. I listened to you, and that means a lot to the people who are reading it. Again, I might have done nothing in this case, but I put that up there because I want the people reading it know that I'm going to, maybe I did do something. I'm sure I went up to the receptionist and say, you tell people we accept cash, right? And they look at me like, what did you smoke today, Dr. Glazier? Of course, they've been with me for so many years, and of course they know we accept cash. So the EC, the effort to change, we're instituting changes in education of our customer care representatives so this does not happen to someone else. Then, the C, everybody wants to hear the crazy, right? Make them look crazy. So, of course, you're going to do it professionally and not in a non-insulting way, but there's always a way to write it to make them look like they don't know what they're talking about. And I did that in this case. I said, had you ever actually visited our office, that's for the benefit of the people reading the review, you'd have received the same 5-star service. I threw a little bit of social proof in there as well. That, as you can see, almost every other reviewer experienced at our practice. So again, had you ever actually visited our office, you'd have received the same 5-star service that, as you can see, almost every other reviewer experienced at our practice. So I made my argument there, and then at the end I make my offer. We'd like a second chance to make this right. So please call again and give us a chance to exceed your expectations this aside. I don't want that SOB calling me again. I don't even want to see that person again because, I never saw them to begin with. But I don't want to see them. I think they might have some mental problems. But in any event, I'm not marketing to them anymore. They're a lost cause. I don't want them there. But I'm using the opportunity to let people know I'm a real professional organization. We take accountability for our mistakes and actions. We apologize. We make things right. And by the way, every once in a while, somebody will leave a review that doesn't make sense. And I just want you people reading this to understand that. And with that strategy, you really turn those lemons into lemonades and those 1-star and 2-star reviews. And that's one really great strategy that I find has worked successfully over all these years, again and again and again. Another strategy you can do if you get 1 or 2 stars reviews is bury the reviews. You can for every 1-star review you get, go out and get 5 or 10, find 5 or 10 loyal patients who've been seeing you for years and ask them to review for you. Ask if inclined, will you review us online? It's really important to our business, and you haven't left one yet. I appreciate if you would do that, and you just hustle to do that real quick, so you dilute the overall effect it has on your total star power up there in the reviews. So you don't want to be rude. Excuse me. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to look unprofessional in your response. You don't want to be argumentative because that turns people off. You want to turn those lemons into lemonades, and that's how you do it. Again, the philosophy is CASPECO, CASPECO. Make them look crazy in a non-insulting way. Apologize for what happened in a way where you sound genuine. Use social proof by saying, hey, other people came here and they all seem to have a 5-star experience. You never even came into our office and left us a 1-star review. What's up with that? And then show you're willing to make an effort to change and offering to make it right. And then you really come out on top with these things. And so, yeah, acronym. Thanks, Darius. An acronym. So that's my acronym, CASPECO. And that's what I got for you tonight. I'm going to hang out here and I guess we got about 26 minutes to the hour in here and go through some of the comments and questions, and you can shoot out some more questions about handling reviews. And if you want to throw something up there, and I can get to it, I'll try and comment on something so you know what to do. Cool. Gail, thank you. Says very insightful. There's a lot to absorb here. I won't be surprised if there aren't a ton of comments. If you want to talk about anything else, please. I got the time set aside. It's thunderstorming here, so I'm going to wait till the rain dies down to get out of here anyway. There's Lin Kong. And a big happy smiley face. It kind of looks like me. Black eyes. Hope everybody's been safe and healthy out there. The last time I was live was, deep into the end of March COVID stuff where we were all stagnating at home. It was a weird time. I kind of went offline a lot. I was doing so many lives and Zooms. I get tired of it, and it's kind of good to be back a little bit, all in moderation. Gary, how about an example of another response to a negative review? I'd love to. Can you cut and paste a negative review in here, and I'll show you how I apply CASPECO to that. I'm not going to go fishing around for it right now, but I'd love to do that. Marshall Field, Google reviews are very important, needless to say. Yes, and we touched on that for two things. A lot of people read them, and they help your SEO, your search engine optimization. So yeah, and the words that people type into the Google reviews help you as well. You can't control that, but you sure as heck can control getting Google reviews. So it's important to be found, like I said, with a lot of those pretty yellow stars in Google, in Yelp, and a handful in Health Grades we talked about too, because Health Grades is a site that isn't used too much by people, but Google uses it for healthcare businesses as a kind of a loud motorcycle out there. They use it as a clue on how good that healthcare business is to rate them in their categorizing of businesses for search engine optimization and stuff like that. So Darius, make sure you have taken ownership of your Google My Business page. Good one. Yep. So on all these sites, you probably already have a review site. If you haven't gone there, there could be all kinds of stuff about you on there that you don't know about. That's reflecting well or not so well about you. But you need to get ownership of that, and you need to control the content on there. You do not want the internet to tell your business story for you. You need to tell your own business story out there and be in control of it as much as you can. Spell out acronym again. You just did. Thanks. It's one of those A words. So what else is going on out there? Well, we're waiting for some questions to come in, and we're waiting for, hopefully, Gary. Okay, so Gary threw one up there. Patient had to wait longer than they wanted. So you want me how would I use CASPECO to respond to a negative review where the gist was that the patient had to wait longer than they wanted to? So I would start by apologizing. I would say, we are so sorry. This is on the fly, but I would say, we're so sorry for the wait for the wait at our office. It's our goal to run on time for patients. However, things happen where there are emergencies or patients ahead of you come a little bit late, and it's cumulative. So I would apologize in some way like that. I would definitely edit that. I wouldn't say exactly that. And then I would show that I was going to make an effort to change. So we're having a staff meeting about this today so that we can find ways to handle these situations so they don't impact you or anyone else in the future. And then I would make them look, may use the crazy part by saying something like, had you also been on time for your appointment, you wouldn't cause us to run late for the patients after you. But again, I would assuage that and make it sound like I wasn't insulting them. It's just, I don't have the time to really sit down and edit that right now. And then I would offer to make it right. Say, because we ran late, we've got a Starbucks gift card for you if you want to come in and pick it up as an acknowledgement of that, that your time is valuable. And we of course we know that, but it was out of our control. So that's kind of how I would approach that with CASPECO. And you can, I have it in the order of the CASPECO, but you can mix and match them. I typically apologize, do the effort to change, the social proof, the make them look crazy, and the offer in that order. David Grosswald, what's up, my friend? How do you and your team coerce happy patients to go online and share happy encounters? Well, I always, at the end of the exam, I always cherry pick those patients that we ask, because as you know, David has a great practice, a great guy and a great doctor, and a great bedside manner and all that stuff. And when people, If they're newer patients, you know when they had a good experience and when they didn't. And with established patients who've seen you forever, who you know who loves you. So I simply ask them, after if it gets to the point in the end of the exam, doctor, you always do such a great exam. It's so good to see you every year. I said, that's really nice about you. You know, if you're inclined, would you review us online? Something simple like that, David. Something that really is doesn't make it look like you're asking too much of them, or it doesn't make you look like you're begging, but you may even want to take a little bit of time to explain the importance of those reviews to your business. And that's how I would do that. And definitely only happy patients. We don't spend any time asking unhappy patients to review us, in case you weren't aware that you shouldn't do that either. Steve Ferrucci has nothing to do with my practice, but I found that quite insightful. Thank you. You watched this and had nothing to do with your practice? You got a special practice there. It was good chatting with you today, Steve, too. Scott Ream, with HIPAA, I thought you could not acknowledge that the person writing the review is a patient or not. You have to write in general terms. So that's a great point. Whatever that patient says that identifies them as a patient, then you can respond, because they already let that cat out of the bag. But you can't say anything in there that identifies anything about them or their health condition. So HIPAA is protecting patient identity, and it's protecting patient health information. If you say something that they bought a pair of glasses, that's their health information. That could get you in trouble. But if you talk in general terms around what they wrote, then you can avoid that. That's a great point, though, Scott. When you create this response, generally it should be close to, if not perfect, for HIPAA. I've never been called out on that, and I've written responses to hundreds and hundreds of reviews. But yeah, why not stay safe? I think that's a really good point. That's something I might include in this lecture in the future as well. Gary, called 2 weeks ago to schedule an appointment. You did? I'm going to be your eye doctor? I was originally told they take my insurance and that there was a 2-week wait to see a doctor. Listen, 48 hours before the appointment, they called to tell me they don't take my insurance and that I was out of luck. Both the staff and the office manager were very rude. Note, clearly we never told the patient this. Okay, so let me read that again. Called 2 weeks ago to schedule an appointment. I was originally told they take my insurance and that there was a 2-week wait to see a doctor. Okay? Less than 48 hours, they called to tell me they don't take my insurance and that I was out of luck. Everyone was rude. Everyone was rude there, Steve. So, Gary, first fire the rude people. Just kidding. So again, CASPECO, I would start with the apology. Dear whoever you are, I was sorry to hear about the experience you had trying to get an appointment in our office. And I throw that in there because, again, the reader this person has never been in your office. And most people who are reading these reviews want to hear about the in-office experience. They don't want to hear about stuff like that. They may discount that anyway. So I'm sorry for your experience in attempting to book an appointment with our office. Then I might say, we had a staff meeting about this, and we talked about the issues with insurances and verification, and frequently that it's out of our hands, and that we find that the verification isn't good even closer to the appointment, or something like that. I don't know. And then I'd say, if social proof, if you look at the majority of the reviews from the people who have actually come into our office, you'll find they were very pleased with the service, and there are no negative comments about us, about being backed out on anyone's insurance. Again, you're going to wordsmith this so it sounds good. So that makes them look crazy. And then you can offer to make it right. You say, if you can reach out to our office manager, we'll give you a little more insight, other than in this review feed, of what happened and what we might be able to do in the future to keep it from happening again for you and for other patients. So kind of that's how I would approach something like that. Of course, I would write that down and I would edit it like 50 times before I was pleased with what I had wrote and what I wanted to post. But again, always the secret to responding to these reviews is don't write to make that person, to meet their needs or make them happy. Write what you would want to see the business owner say if it was you in that patient's position. And what would make you feel better about still going to that business? Because hundreds and maybe thousands of people are going to see your response. So you're writing for their benefit. They never came in to meet any of our staff. Right. I might even just Exactly. I might even just not even say anything about that, because as an educated, intelligent person, I would think right away when I read that, well, they didn't meet the staff. But you could point that out. That definitely is a good idea, and part of the crazy, make them look crazy part. Iris Roberts, how about a complaint about an RX? Come on, Iris, you don't have any complaints about RXs. I'm sure you don't. Well, like I said, I use this CASPECO strategy to approach it, and the more that I've done it over the time, the more of an expert I've been at whipping something out about it. It helps me to see the review. But if somebody complains about an RX, I might start out by saying, I might say, apologize. We're so sorry that you feel that your prescription isn't right. I don't know. I have to see what they wrote, but especially if they got the glasses somewhere else, I would say, however, the doctor prescription, we always guarantee our doctor prescriptions, and we guarantee to check them. If the error was with the glasses you had made somewhere else, pointing out to the people reading it that it may not be our error, yada yada, making them look crazy in the fact. And most people who you see have gotten glasses here have had a great experience. That's the social proof part, and then offer to make it right in whatever way you can. So that's kind of how I apply it to every review, and that's kind of that's the steps I go through in the system. And if you ask me any more questions about how about this complaint or that complaint, I'll just apply that CASPECO. Anybody who wants to do this to an existing review actually can do this and PM me on Facebook or email the review to me, and I can walk you through it, as long as I don't get too many. I mean, I may not respond to everyone, but to 2 or 3 of them or 4 of them out there, I might walk you through this, and just so you get a feel for it, because it's so important. Like when they accuse you of your RX being wrong, right? You and I know that 9 times out of 10, if they get the glasses elsewhere, it has nothing to do with your RX being wrong, because we're all so good at what we do. No optometrist writes a wrong RX ever. Well, that's not true, but you know what I'm saying. You want to make sure. You may want to say in that review, I would really like to check those glasses, because we may have made an error, but we also may not. And if we didn't, if the error is in the manufacturer of the frames or lenses, we want to be able to help you with that. If they didn't get them from you, what we've done in the past, I like this strategy for some kind of businesses, not for others. It depends what your business is like. But if people get their glasses elsewhere and have a problem with them and they want us to troubleshoot them, we would ask for a $50 deposit that is refundable if it turns out that our RX was wrong. And we explain to them that checking somebody else's work is time and effort for our optical staff. And if their work is wrong, they should check it. And if you want us to check it, you're going to pay for that. However, if it turns out it's our script, we're going to refund that money to you, rewrite the script with a doctor's RX change, and you'll go back there and they'll remake your lenses for you. So that's kind of what I would do in that situation. Talked a lot today. I just got off a webinar with the Ontario Association of Optometry. Did a talk on I call it, it's like a WWW online optical strategy, waging war on Warby, I call it. Been talking for 2 hours now. It looks like the questions are kind of dying down here, but I'll hang on for another 5 minutes or so and just see what happens. Here we go. Gary's keeping me busy tonight. What do you say to a patient's review who comes late and office needs to have them reschedule? Oh, I would go off on that person in my CASPECO way. I would say, get across in a polite way that, sorry we had to do that, but this is how it goes here, because by you being late, you make the next person late, and then if you have to wait for us, you complain, and that's the same thing that happened before. And just explain it in a way that you're not being insulting or talking down to them, yet at the same point you're making them look bad to the people reading the review, and not by using the F word or calling them names, but by insinuating that it's kind of stupid what you're saying because you were late for your appointment. And there's plenty of ways you can write that in a way that makes you look like, your stuff doesn't stink, even though what you're really saying is you're an idiot for being late and you shouldn't have expected to be seen. There's ways to say that without actually saying that. Well, all right then. I am going to get on the road here. I'm at my office tonight getting some work done. Appreciate you all being here. We'll do some. If you like this, we'll do some more. I'll figure out. This does have a Cope ID with it. I put it on the in the group somewhere. I don't know what the if you're able to get live Cope through a live Facebook Live, but I'm going to try and figure that out because I have a lot of courses. I probably have 30 or 40 credits that I teach that I'd be willing to do more of them, especially if we can get the Cope. I'm going to start the process of figuring, thanks Gary too, of figuring that out. So maybe you can do this and get Cope. If you know, if there is a way to file it with the number and you need a certificate from us, we'll sign off on anything. I send you an email that shows you were in attendance. Just let's see if anybody wants to take the time to figure that out. That would save us a lot of work on our end, and we appreciate that. And what I'll do in return is give these for free. So in any event, you guys all take care, take it easy, have a great night, and be safe out there. I'll see you online tomorrow and on video soon again as well. Bye.